Hello, my name is Joshua Tyler, and I'll be doing a kind of uh, oh, let's call it an analysis of Avenged Sevenfold's "Set Me Free." Figured out that this is a newer song that they've released, and in order to gain channel notoriety that go on the trends, that's how you do it. I like doing long unscripted things where I may mess up a word, but I won't edit it out. I eventually do want to become a professor, so the only way to really learn how to do long unscripted talks is just doing it, and maybe doing this YouTube thing might help me with that. Also, I really love Avenged Sevenfold. I've grown up with them. I only found out about them when I was about 14, listening to Nightmare. But I've learned a lot about music from them, both playing drums and guitar and bass. I've even learned a lot of their stuff on piano, so it's a very close to home band for me. And they've got a new song that originally was recorded for "Hail to the King" that they didn't release, and this was back when they had Aaron as the drummer, not Brooks. So you'll hear a lot of that in the song. Let's see what else. This song breaks a lot of stereotypical Avenged Sevenfold tropes. There's a lot of different things that they try in this. This was when they were songwriting right after the Rev died, and this is when they were writing their songs without him. So this is Matt, Zachy, Johnny, and Brian writing songs without the Rev's influence on them, and they were trying a lot of different things. And you hear that on "Hail to the King." It all has a general sense of the same sonic quality, but a lot of the songwriting throughout the tracks is very different. And this is them trying to find their feet without having the Rev in there. So I apologize. I'm going to be pausing this intermittently in order to be able to give my commentary on it. And if you want to listen to the whole thing without stopping and hearing me talking, then go ahead and go listen to their track on YouTube. All right, so let's start. And this is I don't know which one. I think it's the Hell one that they're using on this. Back in 2013, alongside "Hail to the King," Sinister Gates, or Brian Hayner Jr., he introduced the new Hellwind line of custom amps through Schecter. Those aren't available anymore. I believe they discontinued them because I was wanting to buy one once I got older, and I went to go look it up on like American Musical Supply or Sweetwater or Reverb, and I couldn't find it. So apparently they discontinued it. But I believe that this is the clean British tone that he's using on his regular Sinister custom. Right off the bat, I can tell that the lead guitars are kind of loud in this one. This is something that I noticed in The Stage, which is their newest album to date. Well, besides Black Rain, but their newest full-length studio album to date is The Stage, and I noticed the mix is a little more raw. It's a little more uncontrolled, and the lead guitar, especially Sinister Gates, he's very loud when he does these lead lines. And I noticed in this song, I listened on different headphones, either both earbuds, the regular studio monitors, and headphones. The lead guitars are really loud in this one, especially on the intros and the pre-choruses or the pre-verses. I guess bridges. That kind of terminology is up in the air into what's the official one. you hear that he's kind of using that instead of a bend up on the guitar, he's using the whammy bar or the tremolo bar to go down. Here, wah wah wah. That's something different. I haven't really heard that on a previous song that they've done.
There's a calmness to the air outside. Watch the sun color the sight of a morning sky.
And here they're using a very, very light reverb for the vocals. They're using a delay. I think it's about a quarter note delay on there, where you hear the same thing back very softly about a quarter note after the lead line is sung.
But all I see are clouds of darkest gray. A full eclipse to veil the start of another day.
This is also very different because it's not harmonized. Almost every single vocal line that they do is harmonized. You either have like third up, whether it's a minor or a major third up, or a fifth up, or an octave up, or an octave below. But here it's just the single melody, which is very, very different for them. I think they tried that out. You hear it in like Tonight the World Dies and Nightmare, which was one of like the first times they've ever done that. Maybe MIA back on City of Evil, and like a little bit on the stage like in Simulation or Angels. But this is on Hail to the King. This is one of the only times that they actually had just the melody line with no harmony. And I'm surprised that they Brian didn't use a lower octave on the guitar for these solos. I think he tried to venture down lower on the lower octave on the guitar on the stage, but here he's kind of letting loose up on the higher octave on the guitar. Still very beautiful stuff. Like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. It's very beautiful guitar, but in the sense of the song, I think it would have made more sense to go on a lower register.
Hear the laughter as the children smile. Hold a newborn close and dream for a little while. But all I hear is death knock at my.
Very simple bass. And that's not to complain. Very good bass is where it makes sense. You don't want to do especially on these ballads, you don't want to do anything super crazy with the bass. You want to provide that low end, that bottom to it, and that tonal foundation. And Johnny does a very good job. He has a little bit of that dirtiness on there, but he does it very simply, which is exactly what this song needs.
Door and think of painful journeys our young must endure. Set me free.
And you hear that the phaser come up on the guitar, that sweep from low to high frequency on the guitar. I think I don't know what channel it is. It's probably a left to right sweep. They love doing that. That's probably Brian providing backing vocals up on the high register. This could have gone on a Guns N' Roses album. It's very, you can hear the inspiration for it. It's very, very old school. Well, very very old school, like 80s 90s, but you can hear the influence on it, and they wear that influence on their sleeve, but also manage to make it their own, which is very talented.
Touch the water.
The drum tone on this is great. It, it, it it's a lot like the old Queen sound, or the Metallica on the Black Album. The Queen, throughout the entire thing, Queen always had just this huge drum sound. They always wanted the huge drum sound. That was very intentional. Here on Hail to the King, like throughout the entire album, the drums were just there. They were very present, and they had a lot of reverb on the snare, and the bass had a lot of kick to it, and the cymbals were not obtrusive at all. It was a very well mixed drum set.
With your own two hands, let the freedom they'll bring come to a troubled land.
And here we actually see Matt go on a lower register than he usually does. He's a tenor singer, but he sings in this alto range normally, which it always sounds like he's pushing, which is very nice. But it's nice. It's a nice change of pace to hear him actually go to the upper tenor range instead of the medium and a higher alto range. If you listen very closely on some of the other songs like the ballads, you'll hear him sing some upper tenor range as a backing vocal to his alto range. But to hear him do this solo, to hear it on its own, it's very nice.
But all I feel are my 2 feet in chains. I know the sin.
Of course, you hear some Sinister Gates in the left channel do some bluesy guitar, not distorted, but a little crunchy, a little dirty, clean guitar in the background.
But I can't figure out the game. Set me free tonight. Set me free tonight. Set me free tonight. Set me free.
The good thing about that chorus is it's something that works in a live setting. A lot of times, if you have a very busy vocal part, it's very hard for people to sing out loud. But if you have something like "Set Me Free," something that a note that people can hang on, that's in the upper register, that's something that comes out very well live. So you won't, when you're writing a song and you want it to be an anthem, you want people to be able to hang on a note, kind of in the upper register, so they sing it out at the top of the lungs, and then you're on stage, and to be able to hear that, it's quite amazing. This was a very different, a different approach to a ballad. It almost seems like this would be a more rock groove, or a bridge. The bridge doesn't, to me, make a lot of sense in the terms of a ballad. It makes sense more in the terms of a more fast-paced, more rock-oriented song. with Aaron trying to do some of the rev stuff. I'm not sure about the drum groove in this. I guess you would call it a bridge, but I'm not really sure that makes tonal sense in it relative to the rest of the song. Aaron does this thing. He did it in the Black Ops 2 Carry On in his drum solo where he had the quarter notes on the China or the trash cymbal, and he did a tom groove, and it sounded very good in relative to Carry On. But in terms of Set Me Free, which is more of a ballad, it doesn't make much sense to me to do something like that. Now, I'm not sure what the proper drum groove for that would be. If I were in those shoes, I would just play something open. I would just have 1 and 3, or maybe even 1 on the kick and 3 on the snare, and then just on the crash cymbal, and just give more room for the actual song. To me, that's what you're supposed to do on the ballads, especially on drums. Just give more room for the song. And this vocal part is just amazing. And I think there's a female singer in the background. That's too high, and that's a different tone than Brian's usual thing. And I don't think Aaron recorded any background vocals for that. So that might have been Valerie. I don't know if they brought someone in for that. They may have brought someone in for that, but it's surprising that if they brought someone in and recorded that song, that they didn't release it with "Hail to the King." That would have been, if I were the guest vocal, I would have been kind of curious as to why, like, the song that I came in and guest on, like, it didn't come out. But if it's a background vocal, I'm assuming that that it was Valerie Sanders on there. That's Matt Sanders' wife. That would have been interesting to. I'd like to know. I'm guessing that it was Valerie on there, but it was very good. They just do the chords. They match the chords very well. The whole thing just blends very well musically. And of course, back to the Sinister Gates dual guitar. It's a mainstay of all Avenged Sevenfold songs. You're not going to get away from that. But it's nice, so why would you want to get away from that? There's a lot of different things in here. I'm surprised that they didn't have this on the original album. Their whole idea with Hail to the King was to do stuff that was supposed to be big in the arenas, not the auditoriums, for the arenas. And this is something that is very, to me it sounds like I haven't seen it done live, but it seems that live it would have done very very well. Avenged Sevenfold is. I mean, they always have strong ballads. I mean, even in the City of Evil days, or even on Sounding the Seventh Trumpet, with that song. I forgot what it's called. Some Avenged Sevenfold fans gonna eat me alive for this. Um, and on Waking the Fallen with I Won't See You Tonight, they've always had very very strong ballads, and especially on Nightmare, their ballads were very very strong. That one they had three or four. So they had on that one they had like So Far Away, you Tonight the World Dies, Victim, and Fiction. Very 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 strong ballads. They have this amazing songwriting talent that you don't really. A lot of people discredit them for being good songwriters because they're metal, but they do a very good job of taking a whole lot of influences and cramming them together, and then having their own I, identical identifying signature on there musically. Now there was one part in um, Brian's solo that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I think it was in between the bridge and the last chorus. For for Brian not to go on the sustainiac and go up to a fifth or an octave, or to hit a pinch harmonic after that after that bridge part, that I was almost expecting that. I'm very used to him doing something where he ends the solo, not in a flashy way, but kind of a aurally abrasive way, where he'll hit a fifth up or seventh up or an octave up, or sometimes he'll even go to a sixth up. Like I think that was in God Hates Us. I can't remember properly, but I've heard him do it once. But overall, it's such a great song. I wish they released it as a single. In terms of Hail to the King, having listened to it since what is it, 7 years old now, or 6.5. It came out like in August 2013. I was back in high school, but Hail to the King, it was concise. I think it was like 45 minutes long, and every single song on there had a very distinct purpose. So you start out with Shepherd of Fire, Hail to the King, and This Means War, then Requiem. Like those four songs. Oh, you had Doing Time in the middle. Those five songs really displayed the different subgenres of metal that influenced them. So you hear some of the Judas Priest, or some of the Motorhead, or some of the Metallica, or some of the Guns N' Roses in there. You hear each song is kind of a tribute to that, and then you have Crimson Day, which was their ballad, which was very Metallica-esque, and then you have Heretic, which is more Avenged Sevenfold than anything, and then you have Coming Home, which is that was almost Queen. I noticed when I was listening to Show Must Go On, it's so similar to Coming Home, where Coming Home is so similar to Show Must Go On by Queen. If you listen to it, it's very very similar in the tonality, and even the chords, yeah, and even almost the lyrical content. It's very similar. I mean, you could almost exchange a line you could exchange a line in either song, and it almost makes canonical sense in the terms of the other song. And then you have with Planets, and then Acid Rain to close out the thing, which was almost, I don't think it was an intentional thing, and they played it out a lot for the new album, but it was almost a teaser for the new album. The whole space theory thing where they wanted to do something bigger than this world for the stage, which they did. They played it out very well. But every song on there made sense for what they wanted to do for Hail to the King. And I think Set Me Free, like my personal opinion, without any producer thing, it just as a fan, I would have liked to see Set Me Free as like a B-side on there, or a bonus track that would have been on there right beside St. James. But in terms of the consistent tone they wanted to keep for Hail to the King, it makes sense that that didn't make the album. Even as good of a song as it is, I think that it made sense not to put it on there, even though I would have liked it to be on there. And I think that that wraps up what I wanted to do. I think I said everything that I wanted to say, so I think I'll close out this video. See you next time if there is.